Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm so thankful that you are here. I recently did a poll, and 44% of you said that math is your hardest subject and that you'd like me to make more videos on that. So here you go, my friends. You're welcome. Okay, so before we get started on this algebra video, I want to remind you that algebra is actually the largest math concept that is on the HiSET and the GED test. So really make sure that you study up, okay? Now, before we get into this video a little bit more, I have 4 tips. Tip number 1 is click the link down below to gain access to the free PDF, I said free, that goes with this video, because then you can do the work and have it right in front of you and have the video tutorial. So definitely make sure that you download the PDF that goes with it. Tip number 2, do the problems before me. If you do that, then when I do it, then you'll be ready to see if you got the answer right or wrong. Tip number 3 is watch the video as many times as you need to. Maybe the first time you're not quite getting the answers right, but if you watch it again and again, then you're going to start getting answers correct and understanding the concepts a little bit more. And step 4 is, of course, to believe in yourself. My friends, you can do this. These concepts might be a little challenging for you, or they might be really easy for you and you'll breeze through them. But believe in yourself, practice, and be purely persistent. Okay, let's get started. Question number 1. What is the value of x in the equation 3x plus 7 equals 22? Okay, so we're basically just solving for x. And the way to do that is I like to draw a little line right here. So whatever I do on one side, I always remember I have to do on the other side of the equal sign. So I want to get rid of this 7. So I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. And I get here 3x, and these 7s here are going to cancel out, equals 22 minus 7 is 15. So 3x equals 15. But what does 1x equal? So I have to divide both sides by 3. The 3's are going to cancel out right here, and I'm left with x equals 15 divided by 3 is 5. So my answer here is A. 2, simplify the expression. Now, if you're brand new to working with polynomials, I suggest you watch this video here so that you're not going to freak out seeing letters and numbers combined. Okay, so go check out this video. So what I'm going to do here, the parentheses is having me multiply. Okay, but first I'm going to see, can I combine anything in the parentheses? No. Okay, so I'm going to go 4 times 2x. So 4 times 2x is simply 8x. And then I'm going to go 4 times 3, which is 12. So I have 4, 12. There we go. Okay, now the other side, I'm going to go negative 2 times 5x is negative 10x. And then I have negative 2 times negative 1. And I know that when I have a negative times a negative, it equals a positive. So I have, whoops, I forgot the x there, plus 2. Okay, now I combine my like terms. So I have 8x minus 10x, which is negative 2x. And then 12 plus 2, so 12 plus 2 is 14. So my answer here, negative 2x plus 14. Comment down below if you'd like me to make a video where I teach you a little bit about positive and negative numbers and sort of multiplying, adding, subtracting them together. Solve the y in this equation. So I need to figure out how to use my program that I created this in to make math problems look a little bit correct. So I'm rewriting it. Okay, so I have 2y divided by 5 equals 8. So to get rid of the 5, I need to multiply, because right now it's divided. The opposite of division is multiplication. So I'm going to have 2y equals, so I'm going to multiply by 5 times by 5 times by 5, and I have 40 because 8 times 5 is 40. So 2y equals 40, and now divide both sides by 2. That cancels out, and I'm left with y equals 20. So C is my answer. Which of the following is the slope-intercept form of a linear equation? Okay, so linear just means line, right? We're looking at like a line that's maybe like that or something, okay? Just a plain line. This is something that you're going to want to remember, okay? The answer here is B. So we have y equals mx plus b. So the m right here, that is going to be the slope of the line, and the b right here is where it crosses the y-intercept. So like right here, this is the b, and then the line itself, how it's going, that is the m, the slope of the line. So memorize that because that's going to be really important. If the equation, what is the value of x? So let's just simplify. So what I'm going to do is combine like terms. So I'm going to actually add 5 to both sides. That's going to be the first thing I do, and that's going to cancel out the 5 there. So now I'm left with 2x equals, I'm going to draw the line to remind me what I do on one side I have to do on the other, and I have 3x plus 7. Now I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. 2x minus 3x equals negative x equals 7. So if negative x is 7, I don't want a negative x, I want a positive x, right? So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 1. And then that's going to cancel out that negative. So I'm just left with x, and 7 divided by negative 1 is just going to be negative 7. So then A is my answer. And here's another one, just practicing moving numbers on both sides. So let's draw our line down, and I'm going to subtract this negative 3x first from both sides. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So 4x minus 3x is just x equals, this cancels out. All right, how do I get rid of the negative 9? By adding. So I'm going to add 9 to both sides. And I have here x equals 6 plus 9. That cancels out. 6 plus 9 is 15. So my answer here is B, x equals 15. All right, we're going back into our distributive property where we're multiplying through. So I have here 2 times x is 2x. And then 2 times 3 is 6. Negative 3 times 2x is negative 6x. And then negative 3 times negative 5 is positive 15. Right? So you really have to know those positive negatives when you're multiplying. Okay, combine like terms, and I have 2x minus 6x is going to be negative 4x, and then I have 6x plus 15, 6 plus 15 is 21. So negative 4x plus 21, looks like our answer here is C. Which equation represents a parallel line to y equals 2x plus 5? Okay, so remember, parallel means like right next to each other, okay? So maybe 2 different streets are parallel. You have A street and B street, right? They go right next to each other. They're parallel lines. So in this case, I might have, here's a line and here's a line, okay? So notice how the y-intercept which would be like this right here, that doesn't have to be the same, right? But what does have to be the same is the slope. So this 2x needs to be the same if they're going to be parallel. So it looks like we only have one where they're the same. So our answer here is B, because those two lines are parallel. Number 9, solve for A in the equation. Okay, so let's go. 5 times A is 5A plus 5 times 2 is 10 equals 35. So how do we get A alone? Here's the silliest thing, but my coworker Christy and I, whenever we're trying to get a letter or a variable by itself, there's this song from the 80s, and it's How Do I Get You Alone? And you have to Google it. It's you'll probably know it, but my rendition of it isn't very good. So I like to use my marker or my pencil in this case and sing, how do I get you alone? Okay, so here we're trying to get the A alone. We're trying to get the variable alone. So if this helps you remember, get it alone, then remember that song. Just a silly little thing that we like to do. Okay, how do we get A alone? The first thing is subtract 10, right? So let's get rid of 10 from both sides, bring our little line down to remind us, and we have 5A, the 10, positive 10 minus 10 equals 0, so we can just leave that there, and 35 minus 10 is 25. So now, how do I get my A alone? I divide, right? Let's get rid of this 5 here on both sides. This cancels out, and I'm left with A equals, what is 25 divided by 5? 5. So my answer here is B, A equals 5. But just remember, friends, you've got to practice this, okay? If you're having troubles with this, print out the PDF and practice, practice, practice. Watch my video as many times as you need. Okay, what is the value of B in the equation? So let me rewrite it. So we have 2B over 4 equals 3. So how do I get B alone? I have the divided by 4, right? What's the opposite of dividing? Multiplying. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 4. So I'm going to go, this is going to be a times 4 and times 4. These are going to cancel out, and I'm left with 2B equals, what is 3 times 4? 12. What do? I divide, right? Because right now it's multiplied, and the opposite of multiplying is dividing. So this cancels, and I'm left with B equals 6. There's our answer. And looks like we've got our little friend here coming to join us, wishing you best of luck on your algebra. Which of the following equations represents a vertical line? Okay, so vertical is like straight up and down, right? I like to think about that. There's V and there's H, right? The V is kind of up and down, but the H is always going to be sideways. So that's how I remember horizontal and vertical. Okay, so we're looking for a vertical line, a straight line that's up and down. So this is actually going to have an undefined slope, okay? And our x has to be constant, okay? It's not going to be changing. So there's one in here that has a constant x, and that is b, okay? This is the only one that is vertical. But it could be anything, like x equals 3, x equals negative 10, x equals 320. It doesn't matter as long as x equals that so that it stays a constant. Solve for x in the equation. 6x minus 8 equals 22. All right, we've got a negative 8. What's the opposite of minus? Plus, right? So let's add 8 to both sides. And I have here 6x equals 30. X is multiplied by 6, so how do I get rid of it? I divide. So these are going to cancel out, and I'm left with x equals 30 divided by 6 is 5. So B here is my answer. What is the slope of the line represented by the equation? All right, remember a couple of questions ago, there was a question that asked, what is the equation for a line? And I said, oh, remember this, it's going to be important, right? So it was y equals mx plus b. But notice how it's just a y by itself. And in this equation, we have a 2y. So we can't have the 2. So we're going to have to divide everything by 2 so that y can be by itself. So I'm going to divide everything by 2. And 2 divided by y. 2 divided by 2 is just y equals, okay, 4 divided by 2 is 2. X minus 6 divided by 2 is 3. All right, so now we've got it, but it wants to know what is the slope. Do you remember what the slope is? The one that is attached to the x, right? So we've got our 2 right here, 2x, that's the slope. So 2 is the slope, and the answer is A. If the equation, what is the value of x? So again, we're just solving here for x. So I am going to subtract 2x from both sides. I always like to try to not have a negative x if possible, and then it just means less work for me later. So I have here 3x minus 2x is just going to be x plus 5 equals negative 3. Now I have to get x alone, right? How do I get you alone? So I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. And then x equals 3 minus 5. Negative 3 minus 5 is negative 8. So that's my answer, A. Negative 8 equals x. My friends, we're a little more than halfway through, but I want you to drink some water, okay? Hydrate your brain, drink some water, especially while you're studying, because the water is going to make your brain so much more effective, okay? All right, hydrated up, ready to go for our last 5 questions. Which equation is equivalent to this? Okay, so let's just solve it. We're going to go 5 times x is 5x, and then 5 times negative 2 is negative 10 equals 15. So if you look at the answers, you can see here that D is 5x minus 10 equals 15. However, we're going to go just a little bit deeper and we're going to simplify this, okay? So let's add 10 to both sides and just combine our like terms, simplify this just a little bit more. All right, so I have 5x, these 10s are going to cancel out, equals 25. And let's just solve for x, okay? 5x is multiplied, so we can just divide that. And we divide one side, we're going to divide the other side. This cancels, and I'm left with x equals 25 divided by 5 is 5. And so C is the answer. However, like I said, D, yeah, I mean, it is equivalent, but we wanted to go just a little bit further down. Solve for M in the equation. I hope by now you know how to solve this without any help. So go ahead and do it. Did you get the right answer? Okay, so let's do it together though. All right, so we're going to divide both sides by 7. And this cancels out, and I'm left with M equals 28 divided by 7 is 4. So A is the answer. Did you get it right? Did you get 4 as your answer? What is the y-intercept of the line y equals negative 3x plus 9. Okay, my friends, we're back here to our y equals mx plus b. The m is the slope. Do you remember what the y-intercept is? Where does it cross that y-axis? At the b, right? And so you have to make sure that the equation is in the proper order, which in this case it is. So what is the b? Right here is 9. So the answer is A, 9. All right, looks like we're simplifying again. Okay, do our little distributive property. So I have 3 times 2x is 6x, and then 3 times 4 is 12, plus 2 times x is 6x, and then 2 times -1 is -2. And now I combine my like terms, so I have 6x and 6x, which is 12x, and then I have plus 12 and minus 2, which is plus 10. And so here, D is my answer. But let's say I wanted to take it just a step further, okay? So what is a number that goes into 12 and 10? 2, right? So I'm going to pull or extract 2 from this equation, okay? So I'm going to go 2. All right, so how many times does 2 go into 12? 6, right? So I have 6x. And how many times does 2 go into 10? 5. So this actually could be the answer as well. So if you ever see things like this, you kind of know what to do now. Which of the following equations is not linear? All right, my friends, remember our y equals mx plus b, right? Y equals mx plus b. I want you to take a look at the x, okay? Notice how it's just a plain x, right? There's nothing, no little exponents or anything like that. When you have just a plain x like that, that is your clue that that is going to be linear, okay? So A, look, here we've got 2x. Is it just an x by itself with the 2? Yes. So that's not our answer. And C and D, the x's there are just by themselves too, okay? And I might put them in the proper order so that it's y equals mx plus b, but honestly, just doing this works. Okay, now B, I'm going to rewrite the first part. It's x, 3x, and then it has a little squared. Now, because it has the little squared, that's actually going to be a quadratic, okay? And quadratic is not a line. A quadratic is actually going to be like this, okay? And so I actually have a whole video that I made a couple years ago about quadratic equations. If you can do what we're doing on this, you can do quadratic equations. It's just a little bit more complicated and it takes practice, okay? But I'll be sure to leave a link for this quadratic equation video. I want to show you something else, a trick to remember linear and quadratic. So here we have linear, the word, and we have quadratic. If I can spell it right. Okay, so with the linear, look at this. See how we've got it as an L, right? The L goes like that, right? In quadratic, look, we've got the U. To remind you, it goes like that. Ho ho. You're welcome. Fun little tricks. I actually have a couple of other tricks like this that I'll be sure to share in an upcoming YouTube short. Solve for P in the equation. So I have 4P divided by 2 equals -8. All right, remember, the opposite of division is multiplication. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 2, right? So the 2 is going to cancel out right there. and I have 4p equals negative 8 times 2 is negative 16. But I want p to be by itself, so it's multiplied. So I'm going to divide by 4, okay? The 4's cancel out, and I'm left with p equals negative 16 divided by 4 is negative 4. So my answer here is B, negative 4. My friends, we did it. Good job. You stayed until the end. Comment down below and tell me that you stayed until the end, because you should be proud. You are purely persistent. So keep up the good work. If you need to watch the video again and again, do so until you really understand these math concepts. And also make sure, if you didn't already, download the PDF so that you can practice these until you get them all right, okay? My friends, believe in yourself. That's one of the most important things when you're taking the HiSET or the GED test, to believe in yourself and just do your best, okay? My friends, I believe in you. Have a beautiful day. Be purely persistent. Peace and God bless you. Bye-bye.